Jason Adkins, Executive Director of the Minnesota Catholic Conference. Inside the Capitol is your look at what's going on in St. Paul and the legislature from a Catholic perspective. We have a very special guest today. One of our advocacy partners is Opportunity for All Kids, and Opportunity for All Kids is a very fine Executive Director, Chaz Anderson. Chaz is a longtime veteran of the Capitol, former Deputy Commissioner of Education, and an experienced advocacy pro. We're delighted to work with Chaz, and she's here today to talk a little bit about both Opportunity for All Kids, which we colloquially call OAK, but also some of the important legislation that we've already talked about here on Inside the Capitol, but it's worth mentioning once again, especially as we get into this final week of the legislative session. So welcome, Chaz. Good to be with you.
Thanks, Jason.
Tell us a little bit about OAK and how you got involved and what OAK is all about.
Sure. I'm really excited about the partnership that we've created with OAK, and the Minnesota Catholic Conference has been such a strong partner in this endeavor. And so about 3 years ago, a lot of the partners who have supported school choice over the years came together and said, how can we have a better and coordinated message at the Capitol and push legislation through? And so we're really fortunate to have some great partners supporting us this year. The Minnesota Catholic Conference is one, but we have the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod that's supporting us. We have the Orthodox Jewish community. The Jewish Community Relations Council is in support of our legislation. And we have a group, the Minnesota Independent School Forum, that represents private schools. And we're really fortunate this year to have a group of African American parents and community leaders called the Minnesota Harvest Initiative who have come together to support our legislation. So a very diverse coalition, but that's, I think, what gives us a lot of strength, is that we have a lot of different partners who are coming together in support of giving parents better options.
So many people think that school choice is a Catholic issue, but as you mentioned, the support extends far beyond the Catholic community. It's both ecumenical, interfaith, and even from secular organizations as well.
Correct, and we have even independent schools who have no religious affiliation who are supporters of our effort, and individuals who really just want to see children have better educational opportunities, and they're not really where that happens and how it happens is not so much as an interest, but that is happening, and these children are given choices. So it's really been a broad and meaningful coalition, and we're hoping that coalition will help push us over the finish line here in the last week of session.
When we say school choice, we mean giving kids more options for schools, including private schools. Now, some people will say, oh, this is Minnesota. We've been a pioneer in school choice. We've got lots of school choice. We've got charter schools. We've got open enrollment. Why do we need more private school choice specifically?
Well, part of the trend that's happening across the country since 2011 is that states are adopting expanding choice to the independent and private schools. And so as we look at what's happened across the country, parents given more options, we really need to start looking at that in Minnesota. You're right, we've had a lot of great movement in the school choice area. We were the first state to have a tax credit in place since 1955. We've had charter schools. We were the first in the nation, but we've kind of fallen behind in the last 10 to 15 years, and so we need to catch up and give parents more choices. A lot of schools in a lot of areas, parents are happy with their school choice, and that's really great, but there are too many parents and children who would rather have another option, but just don't have the opportunity because of financial barriers. So what we're trying to do is break down those barriers and give parents greater options.
So talk a little bit about some of the bills that OAK is, I should say the bill that OAK is really promoting this year at the Capitol.
Sure. We are supporting the Opportunity Scholarship Program, and what that will do is provide individuals and corporations with a tax credit that will go to a 501c3 foundation to grant scholarships to low and middle income families to attend a school of choice. And in addition to our legislation, we do have grant funding for charter schools and public schools as well. But the big piece of it is giving parents that may not have the financial means to have another meaningful choice as they decide what's the best option for their child's education. We're evolving, and kind of every sector is in disruption. And so this idea that one size is the best option for every student just hasn't worked very well. And so what we're saying is, let's try something a little different. Maybe this isn't an option for every child, but there are a lot of children out there this might be a really good option for them to attend a private school of choice. So what this is trying to do is create options, and then parents will have those opportunities to take those options if they see that fits their child's needs.
Children are diverse. They have diverse needs. They thrive in different environments, and so the whole premise behind this then is breaking down financial barriers that allow parents to access that best choice for their child.
Correct. And the work that we've done in the field and part of our grassroots efforts, particularly in Minneapolis, is that a lot of parents have told us they would like another option for their child, but they just cannot financially afford it. And even when the school might be financially affordable, they just don't know that information as well. So, part of this effort is just to give those parents more options so that they can find the best environment for their child's education.
How have these programs, like the one that Oak is proposing this year, how have they worked in other states?
So currently, almost half the states have scholarship tax credit programs. Actually, Iowa and South Dakota, two of our border states, have them in place. And they've worked quite well, and they've given parents more empowerment to make those decisions, to access educational opportunities that they wouldn't have ordinarily had to. What we've seen in many states throughout the country is that it's increased enrollment in independent schools, it's increased academic performance, not only of the children attending independent schools, but also of public schools. That's one of the misperceptions, is that somehow public schools are harmed by choice. But actually, if you look at the 15 plus research studies on that, all of them say actually public schools end up performing better when there's more choice in the market. So we think it's a win-win. This is a small, modest proposal that we put together, and we hope in a week that we're here talking about how we're going to implement the Opportunity Scholarship Program for more families.
Approximately how many students, Chaz, do you think will be able to benefit because of the Opportunity Scholarship Program?
Sure, that's a good question. It's really unknown because it's not just open to new students. It could be open to existing students and families. So, we think there could be anywhere from 10 to 20,000 students that could benefit from the program if they choose to take that option. It's a small step, but I think an important step. And we're going to start with that and go from there.
Now, one of the things that's been a challenge, like you said, is that Minnesota's kind of fallen behind on the choice movement in a number of years. What do you think have been some of the best arguments or some of the things that really have persuaded people that perhaps the time is now for more school choice?
Sure. I think, as I said, a lot of our public schools are performing well, but we have pockets that are not performing well. We have the largest achievement gap in the country between white and students of color. And I think legislators have grappled with that issue for decades, and nothing has really changed since that time. So I think legislators are more open to having and trying different options to really take on the achievement gap and the overall achievement of our children. I just want to mention a study was conducted, it was late last year, of our independent schools, and in compared to public schools, so among African American students, 99% of African American students are graduating from private schools compared to 66% for public schools. Imagine how different that child's life is when they graduate from high school and have more options either to attend post-secondary education or find employment. So we know that we can make a difference. That's our mission. That's why we're here. We really just want to provide children and parents with an outstanding educational opportunity.
And one of the things that we can get caught up in the policy debates is looking at everything in terms of numbers and abstractions, but you really highlighted that this is legislation that could impact thousands of children's lives, and it's a basic premise of what we're doing in collaboration with Oak, that no child should be denied a good education simply because of his or her zip code.
Yep, and that's correct, and that's some of our strongest support is coming from the urban centers because they just want access to better options.
So tell us a little bit about where this important legislation is now in the process, 1 week left in the session.
So we are just 1 week, as you said, left in the session, and the House and Senate are in the process of passing budget bills that Governor Dayton is actually going to veto all of those budget bills. And the legislative leaders in Governor Dayton are going to go back tomorrow morning on Tuesday and start negotiating a second round of budget bills. So they have until Monday, that's the constitutional deadline, to complete all of the budget bills. If they do not complete them by Monday, the 22nd of May, then they have to actually have a budget in place by June 30th and go through a special session. But we're very hopeful that our provision will be included in the final budget agreement and the tax bill, because we are a tax credit program. That's where we need to be carried. And so we're working very hard this week to make sure that's a reality, and we're very hopeful.
Great. Now, if people want to learn more about Opportunity for All Kids in Oak and this legislation, where should they go?
So they should visit our website at www.oakmn.org. And on the website, we have a lot of information and also an action alert center where you can contact your legislator and Governor Dayton and let them know that you support the program.
So great. So in addition to the work that people are following via the Minnesota Catholic Conference website, that's mncatholic.org. You can also go to our partner website at oakmn.org. That's again oakmn.org. We're grateful, Chaz, for you being with us today on Inside the Capitol. Keep us all in prayer as we, and our legislators and our governor, especially as we head to this final week of session. They may have a spirit of wisdom and a spirit of discernment to work for the common good of all Minnesotans. This has been another edition of Inside the Capitol. I'm Jason Adkins with your look at what's going on in St. Paul from a Catholic perspective. Thanks for watching.